You might not believe it, but this is all Blender, and so is this. It's crazy, but this year's Blender conference once more showed that Blender is rolling with the big boys. But it was also the end of Blender as we know it. And to me, as a huge Blender nerd and content creator, that is kinda scary.
And I know you won't be picking up, but I just can't fight the feeling anymore.
Before we get into why that is though, Ton Rosendahl, Blender's founder, kicked off the conference as per usual with his opening keynote. Now last year Blender wasn't doing great and Ton asked all of us to support Blender, and I'm super happy to say that we, the community, have managed to make 2024 and 2025 the biggest financial successes that Blender has had so far. So, take a second to applaud yourself for being part of this incredible community, and if at this point you feel some guilt creeping in, go donate to Blender, not just for Blender, but also for yourself, because this is the sole reason why we've been getting so many incredible updates, including the very anticipated Blender 5.0. And Ton briefly showed us some of the new features that are coming, like physics nodes, which are actual node-based physics simulations with easy-to-use solvers, a dedicated story tool to really help with storyboarding and concepting, and finally, 3 years after I initially promised it, Blender on tablets. It's finally here. Well, not really, but you can already get it with a workaround, and it's supposed to release next year. But there's also an elephant in the room that we need to address.
With a bit of sadness, but with a lot of conviction, I'm going to announce that I will step down as Blender Foundation Chairman and Blender CEO by the end of the year.
Ton is done as the CEO of Blender, and he's handing over his roles to 4 well-known faces of the Blender Foundation: Fiona, Dalai, Sergey, and Francesco as the new CEO of Blender. And as he said,
things will change, some things will get different.
It's kinda exciting, but also kinda scary to think what might change. However, they've all been part of Blender for so long that I trust they will do a great job. Now, I would like to take a second here to appreciate everything that Ton has built over all of these years. He's managed to create an incredible, amazing open source product that is now developed by a huge team with seemingly a lot of passion, and it's backed by an even more incredible and welcoming community that just takes in everyone, and it's given so many, including myself, a chance to chase their dreams. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Ton. Enough with the emotional stuff though. Let's get into why you're here. Day one began with a banger. Framestore, one of the world's leading and most creative VFX studios, went over how they are betting hard on Blender and using it in a daily basis to create, iterate, and showcase their amazing projects, including How to Train Your Dragon, Imaginary Friends, and the Fantastic Four. And as they say,
why should we not use Blender?
It provides them with the entire pipeline they need for FizDev and makes the process super easy and quick, unlike any other DCC out there. I mean, we all knew this, of course, but it's very cool to see big names in the industry taking the plunge too and going in hard on Blender. Ever seen a car commercial or a longer interior car scene in a movie or show? Well, I always thought that the outside of the car was either them just driving through the streets being on a trailer like this, or at the very least a recording of a car driving down a road. But as it turns out, a lot of these are actually 3D renders, including the ones made by Mike's company, Simplates. So Mike went over how they use a similar technique as the volume in The Mandalorian to create seamless 360-degree renders, which are made in Blender Octane that sort of build realistic environments outside of cars and then use an LED screen volume to look like real outside environments, which include real lighting on the characters in any shots, and it just gives a more realistic feel. It's quite unique, at least to me, and it's super cool to see Blender and Octane being used for something creative like this. Now I'm cutting day one a little short here. Not because day one was boring, not at all, but just because day two was so absolutely filled with gems that I wasn't even able to attend all of them, and I want to share as much as possible with you guys. And just like setting up an event with the skill of the Blender conference requires a lot of management, running a business does too. Enter Odoo, the one place to get all your business on one platform, and this video's sponsor. Odoo is an all-in-one management software that allows you to easily manage your day-to-day business. With over 45 intuitive applications, including sales, invoicing, accounting, project management, and website creation, Odoo is the perfect solution to optimize your productivity and save time. Not only do their apps work together seamlessly through one centralized platform, preventing common mistakes, the apps are also simple to use and set up too. Plus, everything is automatically tailored to your location, including taxes, currencies, rates, and regulations, ensuring you're never in the wrong when it comes to local requirements. Whether you're just starting with your business, have things rolling, or are considering building one, Odoo will help you grow your business. Start with the apps you need and add more as your business evolves. The first application is free for life, including unlimited hosting and support, and access to their entire suite of 45 apps starts at just 19.90 euros a month. Make sure to check out Odoo through the link in the description, and thank you to Odoo for supporting the channel. Kicking off with another huge IP made in Blender, Sonic the Hedgehog, Day 2 promised to be incredible. Joel Prager from Paramount's in-house studio went over how they used Blender for basically every step of creating Sonic the Hedgehog 3, from previs through postvis, and even rendering the final shots in cycles. Kinda incredible to think that you're able to watch a Hollywood movie in the cinema that was rendered exclusively through Blender. It's somehow weird. Joel was very appreciative of the tutorial and add-on communities, and even had us know that they hired one of the very community members that we all know, Cartesian Caramel. They used their lighting and fur tools, the ones that you could also just buy from Gumroad, and hired them to perfect and customize them for Sonic. It's just incredible to know that someone making Geometry Nodes tools actually got hired to create custom effects for a AAA Hollywood level IP like Sonic. And this is exactly why I always say that putting yourself and your work out there can lead to incredible things. Next up, we have another talk by the talented Will Anderson. Last year, Will gave my favorite talk of the whole conference, and this year he might have come close to winning that spot again. Together with the amazing 3D artist Lucas Zanato, Will created a music video for the band OK Go, whom you might know from very creative videos like this one and this one. OK Go's music videos are always incredibly unique, and this one is definitely no different. Using a bunch of Geometry Node setups, custom shaders, and live mocap integrations, the band managed to basically do a live recording of their song, and basically everything reacted to it inside of Blender. It's such a creative approach and super cool to see the band not simply just using a final, clean, fully rendered version of it, but often switching to the 3D viewport in rendered view and just zooming out, zooming in, showing all these little Blender icons, lines, wireframes, and small details that we've come to love so much. And the guys from Blender Studio also did their share with building some custom Geometry Node setups and providing additional direction. It's really an inspiring community project, and it's super great to see Will cranking out the most inspirational stuff still. Now, at the Blender conference, talks often overlap. There's about 100 of them, and there's only so much time to fit them in. So at this point in day 2, I had to make a decision: checking out a talk by one of my buddies or going to the talk that I actually wanted to go to. Nah, I'm just kidding, Martin, sorry. But yeah, at the time that Martin from Not Important Studio gave his inspiring talk on something that actually hits home for me, the incredibly talented Jess Weissman also did her talk. Anyways, Martin gave an inspirational talk on how you don't need to be the best of technical artists to create engaging and visually attractive projects in Blender. Something that I completely relate to and agree with. As he states, when working on client projects, the visual output is really all that matters, and many happy little accidents happen along the way of such projects. Sometimes these require fixing, but often they do not, and you should just embrace them as part of the creative process. He also covers a ton of hacky techniques that he uses to create visually stunning results, and it's really well worth a watch if you ask me. But like I said, at the same time and a different floor, Jess Weissman, a 25-year-old artist from the UK who has, well, the most envious of portfolios, gave her talk that, funnily enough, kind of shared a similar story. The process of creation can be messy, stupid, or even convoluted as long as you're getting the results you wanted. So I guess you could say there's a pattern when it comes to successful artists. Anyways, in her 1-hour talk, Jess covers her creative process, showing how she messes about in Blender, usually with great result. It's honestly such an inspiration to see someone talk about their work with such passion and conviction, especially when it comes to her belief that most anyone can do it as well as her. I think this goes to show something that I always say too. Time and effort are the key to becoming your own Jess Weissman, not just a talent that you're born with. Now we're still not done with day 2 because next we have a really cool talk by Valentin Komkov, who as a hobby project created his own concept car, the Nissan 500 SX, based on his passion for JDM sports cars. Valentin decided to create his own retro-futuristic version of one, and you could say it kinda blew up. He showcases how he goes from a concept to iterating drawings to building well over 15 versions of it in Blender, continuously looking how to improve the car, and it's really no wonder that the final design got some traction online. It looks incredible and it's really fun to see the process of high-end visual car creation inside of Blender. Now for our last talk of day 2, we have this presentation by Mike Yakovlev, the artist responsible for this very viral city scene recreation based on the anime movie Akira. In his talk, he covers how he went over scene layout, getting things to look accurate using lights to generate depth in his images, but also how to use them to detract light, which sounds weird, but it's a thing you can do in Blender. He also explains how, due to the weird style that animations in anime often have, the camera usually didn't move. Instead, he just moved all the objects, which is a weird approach, but it just gives so much more stylistic control to get that typical Akira in 3D. Mike makes incredible art, and his talk on how he made this specific one is a great watch, so I can't recommend it enough. Now let's move on to the saddest day of the conference, the one that ends it. Day 3 began with a talk about the ultimate lie in 3D photorealism. Omar from Photon Town gave an inspirational talk on how his company creates hyper-realistic characters using Blender, and he put it down to a test. We had to decide based on 2 presented images which human was real, and funnily enough, a lot of us, including myself, chose incorrectly on a few occasions, which goes to show that at least in still images, we've managed to achieve near perfect realism for digital humans. What I really liked here is that he didn't immediately dove into what they were doing as a company, but gave some context on how humans have always felt the urge to depict themselves ever since ancient times. He followed that up with some really incredible tips that are actually really easy to apply for anyone to their characters. Things like common anatomical mistakes using polarization filters and even shading hacks using procedural nodes for realistic skin shaders. But above all, I really liked his tip on hair grooming. You can get a much better and realistic transition from skin to hair by using his technique. Following that, we have a talk on a tool that even got highlighted by Ton himself in his final ever Beacon speech, Clay Pencil. It's basically Grease Pencil on steroids, allowing you to draw 3D shapes using Grease Pencil by using geometry nodes. On the back end, it's probably really complex, but as a tool, it's incredible and quite easy to use. You can draw in smear frames yourself, have full control over design, placement, and animation through simple line drawings, and it basically takes 2D animation and converts it to 3D animation without ever losing the traditional process of 2D animation, which is really unique and also an incredible showcase of a custom tool made for Blender. Now finally for day 3, we have a really cool talk. I keep saying that, it's just true though, by 2 artists from the anime animation studio Niceboat Animation, and how they use Blender for their animated TV series Deep Dive Forced Rewind. I mean, just check out this trailer. It's insane. In this 40-minute talk, they cover large parts of their production pipeline like character creation and iteration, rigging, look depth, props, and much more. It's sometimes somewhat dry and technical, but the results do speak for themselves and are breathtaking. I just went ahead and watched like a dozen videos on this TV show. I understood absolutely zero. I don't speak Chinese, but I still loved every minute of it because it was such a visual spectacle. And to me, that is what the Blender Conference is all about. Finding energy and inspiration to improve as an artist and as a creator, and to connect with all of you who might also attend. So thank you, and see you next year.